For all intents and purposes, the rut is over now. But sometimes a straggler doe comes into estrus late, bringing on a ninth-inning rally from the bucks. It is what we hope for today, the last day of bow hunting for 2 weeks for Jared Mills and myself. The firearm season starts tomorrow. We pull out all the stops and hunt our best stands on this final go-around before the big layoff. Jared starts the morning in a stand where his trail camera scouting from the day before showed lots of buck activity.
Well, it's just after sunrise here, the morning of December 1st. It's hard to believe that November's gone already. Josh and I are set up one last morning here before the gun season's rolling in here in Iowa. So today's our last chance to get it done. We got close last night on a deer we call Rex, and we're hunting a spot. Yesterday morning he was on this camera that's just about 20 yards away. It's a beautiful morning, calm, clear, probably low to mid-20s. So nice and cold, frost on the ground. We've already seen one little fawn. We're basically just hunting pretty tight to the bedding area, trying to catch these deer on the feeding patterns, coming back to bed for the day. So we'll see what happens. Probably not going to hang in here all that late. I expect the movement, if there is any, to be early this morning. And we'll get down and do some work midday and make a game plan for this afternoon to try to close out the early half of the bow season. Looking forward to the sit. Hopefully the deer start moving soon. See him with the camera. Yeah. Nice. You heard that? Careful of those does. He's just looking this way. He's looking towards the does, right? He's looking just like angled our way to the right. He's looking to our right. Yeah, those does, wherever they went. We're getting a lot more soft. Yep, now he's looking at us.
Controlling the depth of your seeds is important to ensuring good germination and a solid stand of plants. The RTP Genesis has adjustable packing wheels that regulate the depth at which the seeds are placed in the ground. Positioning of the Ozonics unit is important to its effectiveness. With this in mind, Ozonics makes several different mounting systems that you can use to attach the unit to the tree or the ground blind in the perfect position to rain ozone down on your scent stream. I take my quiver off when I'm whitetail hunting. By removing the quiver, I make the bow lighter and easier to handle in the stand, but I also reduce the side profile, so if the wind is blowing, it doesn't have as much surface area to push against. Fuse quivers are all quickly detachable, and they have convenient loops on which to hang them in the tree stand. Keeping things simple and minimizing gear is always a worthwhile goal. Nikon's Laser Force range-finding binoculars bring together the two pieces of optical hardware that most bow hunters carry to the stand. Working hard to contain cost, Nikon is able to offer the Laser Force at roughly the same price you would pay if you bought a rangefinder and a high-quality binocular separately.
That area. Nope. Well, I don't even know really where to start. It's been a pretty incredible morning for December 1st. It's after 10 o'clock, and I finally have a chance to even give an interview, and we're still watching deer. The first buck is a deer that I call Eli. That was, I think, our fourth encounter with him, and that's the deer that I was wanting to shoot. It's so funny because yesterday Josh and I pulled cards. I don't know how many cameras we have, 16, 17, something like that. And he was not on a single one of those cameras. And then he was the first big deer we see this morning. So close again on that buck. And then shortly after he went through, got to finally have an encounter with a deer we call Broadway Joe. He was crossing the slough back here behind us. That's the first time we've had a lot of pictures of him, basically since we bought the farm, but that's the first encounter with him, so it was really good to see him in person. He looks really good. And then I got one really quick glimpse of the buck I call Marino, so I think that's encounter number 4 or 5 with that deer too, the big 4.5-year-old that we're letting go. So pretty dang cool to see all those shooters, or not shooters, all those big deer. One was a shooter on the morning of December 1st. Not what I expected, especially this late morning movement. Like I said, it's pushing 10:15 now, and we still have deer working through, so now the tough part is deciding how to go about tonight. Maybe gonna try to go get ahead of Eli, kind of the direction he was going, and set up over there somewhere. But I just need to take a look at the map and kind of think it through a little bit and make a decision. But nonetheless, a pretty awesome December 1st morning hunt.
There are only 3 ways you can get busted in a tree stand. The deer can smell you, hear you, or see you. To reduce the chances of being seen, we wear the best camouflage we can. Realtree's open patterns perfectly blend into the hardwood timbers that we hunt. Hoyt has been a standard of the bow hunting community for more than a generation. Each year, the company designs bows that are more accurate and more dependable than the year before. Redworks is their most recent offering to carry on this legendary standard. Sleepless nights spent waiting for daylight only to follow a weak blood trail are a thing of the past with the devastating performance of the new Wasp Jackhammer Broadhead. With its 1 3/4 inch cutting diameter, this head is the perfect combination of destruction and penetration. Coolers aren't just for the beach or exclusively for family vacation. They are for any time you need to keep something cold. When hanging stands during the dog days of summer, we depend on our American-made Grizzly coolers to keep refreshments cold so we can stick with it until the job is done. As Jared ponders his next move, I don't have much of a decision to make. I have to hunt the only spot on the farm that has any amount of food remaining. At this point in the season, the action moves back to food, so that is where I head. This afternoon I'm heading back to the plow down plot for my final hunt, going into the shotgun seasons here in Iowa. We've got 9 days of gun season, and then I can hunt with a bow again after that. So this is my last chance now for a pretty extended period of time. The conditions today, 50 degrees. The deer have been moving in these temperatures. Jared was out this morning and he said he saw 3 shooter bucks and a lot of deer activity. And he said it didn't necessarily look like rutting activity, but he was near a bedding area and the deer were milling around on their feet for quite a long time this morning. So maybe I'm hurting myself by not hunting mornings, but you gotta draw the line somewhere and get back to work. So I'm only hunting afternoons. This is my last chance then for a good long time before I can get back to hunting with a bow. Last time we went in there was 4 deer that were already out. So we're hoping we can get in there a little bit quicker and a little bit cleaner tonight. As I settle into the redneck blind for the last 3 hours of bow hunting before the extended firearm season, 100 miles to the east, Jared Mills and Josh Sparks decide to head back to the same stand they hunted the evening before, hoping to get in front of the giant 8-pointer as he heads out to feed.
Well, it's just after 3 o'clock. Josh and I are finally all set up. We're a little bit late getting back in the woods today, but we are in the exact same spot that we hunted last night, where we had that good encounter with Rex. And it's kind of rare for me to come back to the same spot 2 nights in a row like this, but I thought that this particular stand gives us the best chance based on where Eli was going after our morning encounter. He was heading this direction. But it's the last afternoon. We're down to our last couple hours here before the gun season's rolling in, so we're hoping for a last minute miracle tonight. Rex comes in, Josh is up to bat, and the other bucks I will be, so hoping we can end the first half of the bow season on a high note.
Back on my farm, the action is heating up fast on the Big N Beasty plot as several deer come out early.
That's not the 8-pointer from my pond, no. Yes, it is, isn't it? The mature one. Okay. That's not the one that we had in here before, is it? No, we've never seen it before yet. Watch out for this spike. He's looking at something down behind us. Must be another deer coming. He's not acting alert or anything. He's just staring down behind us. I have to open that corner window.
wore me out coming down across that food plot. That's a deer that we've got, gosh, Drake filmed him, I bet you 3/4 of a mile from here, way back in early October. I've got a bunch of trail camera pictures of him up on Old Reliable, which is the spot where we went into last night. In fact, he was one of the deer that we would have been after last night. But we're down in the valley now, of course, below that spot. Everything was moving early tonight. I mean, that was, like, we've got more than an hour before the end of legal shooting time. It's 4 o'clock, and he's been in here for 15 minutes already. I think that was a dead square hit. It's hard for me to tell with the way that I shoot because I don't follow the arrow with my eyes, but from what I could tell, it looked like a pretty solid hit. So, I mean, we'll probably check back and look at the, look at it on the camera just to make sure. But if it is what we think, I mean, maybe we'll sit for a little longer and try to get a doe, but otherwise we're just going to go right down there and see if we can recover that deer. Like I had mentioned here in the last couple of hunts, I'm more than happy to go after a management buck at this point in the season. Today's the last day before the gun season comes in, so hopefully he's laying right down here in this ditch. You can see him laying right across the valley. November has come and gone. It's the 1st of December now. We're not chasing November anymore. But this was a buck that wasn't paying any attention to any does. He had one thing on his mind, and that was getting in that food plot and feeding. Starting to rebuild some of his strength that he lost, or some of his body weight that he lost during the rut. We've talked about it quite a bit, that we haven't been seeing very many mature bucks. And the one I was really hoping to kill was the lone oak buck, but that deer, we only encountered that deer one time, and that was on the 9th of November. This guy we know to be at least 4, and he could even be 5 years old. What we really try to focus on is the age of the deer. And we try to treat that as the trophy quality that determines, whether a deer is a shooter or not. He's a cool deer. I mean, every deer that you kill is a trophy. This is, it's perfect. It's the perfect ending for the first part of the bow season. I've learned over the years that you never regret buying high-quality products. Sure, you can build a blind for a reasonable cost, and that might get you by for a while, but for a truly long-term solution, nothing beats a well-made fiberglass blind like the Redneck Buck Palace. Frigid Forage Big N Beasty has become one of our go-to food plot products because it is very versatile. It will grow in a wide range of conditions, and there is something in the blend that deer seek out during each part of the season. You are only as good as your weakest link, and that certainly holds true when you consider your staying power during cold days in the tree. Feet are often the first to give up, so buying the warmest pack boots, like those from Cabela's, is a great investment that pays off in longer stand sessions and ultimately more tags filled. Many people think that arrows just need to be straight to be accurate, but that is only half of the story. They also must have a consistent spine around the arrow and from one arrow to the next. Easton has been making arrows longer than any other company. Doug Easton started making arrows in 1922. The company continues to thrive because its people understand what makes for an accurate arrow. The first part of the bow season ends perfectly for me. Back on Jared's farm, he hopes for the same happy ending as he spends the final minutes waiting on the big 8-pointer.
Well, that's a deer we call Broadway Joe. That's our second encounter today with that buck. It's a beautiful deer. I can't wait to, hopefully he makes it through the gun seasons and we get to see what he looks like next year. He's one of those deer that Mike and I have been on the fence about age. He's either 4 or 5 is our best guess. He just got up out of that willow thicket out there. So pretty cool to see him twice in one day.
That's the end of our rut hunting for another season. In review, the season has confirmed a lesson that becomes more and more obvious with each passing year. The rut is not wall-to-wall action. There are great days that coincide with special events, a late October cold front, the first few days of estrus activity, and those special days when any hot doe comes past the stand. Other than those three events, the rut can be surprisingly slow. As we head into the firearms seasons, luck becomes a bit less critical. With the benefit of a long-range tool, the hunts now end where they used to only start. It will be a nice break from the grind, a welcome change of pace. Our teams dress in orange and head to the field, ready for some much-needed instant gratification. We have paid the price of admission. If anything, we have overpaid, because there was nothing instant when we were chasing November.